Now, you may not know this about OB Audio, but I actually own two full-size speakers, and one of the most difficult things about owning full-size speakers is looking for a compact, powerful, but budget-friendly amplifier. Well, thanks to FOSI Audio, I think I found the one. With this FOSI BT20A Pro, their latest Bluetooth mini amplifier, and an upgrade to their original and well-acclaimed BT20A. Let's talk about it in today's episode of OB Reviews Audio. Hi, I'm Obi from OB Audio, and you are tuned into OB Reviews Audio, the show where I tell you what I think about audio gear. Thank you so much for taking your time to watch this review. If you enjoy my content, please consider liking, subscribing, and following my socials down on the description below. I would also like to thank FOSI for sending in the BT20A Pro for a review. If you would like to check or if you would like to order one for yourself, definitely check again the links down in the description below, as there will be a link, a non-affiliated link, for you to order one. Now, FOSI is quite a prominent brand in the market right now, as they are one of the leading providers of budget amplifiers and DACs, with the likes of the FOSI DS1 for portable audio all the way to their full-sized Class D amplifiers like the BT30T. They are a brand that provides premium home audio solutions for professionals and audiophiles without breaking the bank. So we'll see whether the BT20A Pro follows on this value. Starting with the unboxing, it's a pretty vanilla and straightforward experience. You get a basic box with FOSI's name up front with the words "Hi-Fi Made Fun" and "Home Audio Expert" printed as well. Opening the box, you are met with a small styrofoam pouch that includes the Bluetooth and a nice orange knob. However, I was informed that due to the difficulty of removing the knob, FOSI decided not to include this in the final release. Inspecting the box further, you are met with the power supply, which is a 32 volt 5 amp AC with an input range of 24 volts all the way to 48 volts. It is quite beefy with a light indicator showing if the power supply is powered or not, and it is terminated to a Type A plug. Finally, we move on to the amplifier itself, wrapped around in styrofoam package. It is a very straightforward and rather minimalist type of unboxing experience, with the box being quite unprofessional looking, and there is a slight lack of accessories like a banana plug or the likes for people who don't really have those accessories yet, but I really can't complain especially for the price of this product. The FOSI BT20A Pro comes in a nice, classy, but understated dark blue color with an overall smooth and sleek design. It is very compact and is just barely larger than my hand, which makes this a very solid choice for a more smaller or compact kind of speaker setup, and understated enough to not really be distracting. The front of the BT20A Pro features one switch for the power, one bass knob, one treble knob, one volume knob, FOSI's logo, and BT20A Pro silkscreen printed in the front, and a nice carved lined machine design to add character to the amplifier. Starting with the front, the knob feels wonderful to touch. There is a printed white line indicating the level of your volume or tuning that is quite visible even in low light situations. Turning it has a very satisfying amount of resistance without feeling too rough or unresponsive. There is a click midway for the bass and treble knobs, which FOSI says allows it to be a pure original tone output. The volume knob is just as satisfying with an even smoother turn. There is no midway click, but the aforementioned indicator should be more than enough. The volume and the tuning knobs go from 7 o'clock all the way to 5 o'clock. There is also a click when you push down the volume knob, which clears the Bluetooth connection. We will go in depth with this on the connection segment of this review. The power switch can also be seen up front with a very satisfying click every time you flip the switch. There is a light indicator located on the left, which shows whether your BT20A Pro is on, which is colored red, and when it's connected to Bluetooth, which is colored blue. There are indicators located below the knobs and switch that indicate their functionality. According to FOSI, they used a silkscreen printing method for the text and indicators, which I found to be quite clean without any overshoots in the printing. However, it does feel like the type of printing that is bound to fade over time, but honestly, that is to be expected in any kind of printing. The sides and the top of the BT20A Pro are smooth with a nice curved edge that give it a very nice and universal form for your speaker setup. The back then features all of the amplifier's connections. This includes the line-in RCA, a pre-out, 4 binding post outputs, the DC 2448 plug, and the Bluetooth antenna connector. The screws to open up the amplifier are also located here in the back, along with the designated indicators printed similarly to the front. The connectors are generally solid and stable. The RCA plugs in tight and consistently, and the binding posts allow for both banana connectors or naked wire. I found that using the binding post showed a somewhat looseness with the screw mechanic of the connector, and I found that the wire could easily get pulled out when the cable is tugged just a little bit. There is also instances of the screw being awkward as it wouldn't screw in smoothly. This is of course remedied just by using a banana plug or looping the wire on the connector. However, the banana plug was not included in the package. The inclusion of a pre-out is also a nice addition as to give more options for an output to the likes of a subwoofer. However, I do not have a dedicated subwoofer as of the moment, so I can't really speak much about that. The Bluetooth antenna screws into the connector pretty well, however you may need to get a tool to get it fit tightly, as I found myself readjusting the antenna frequently due to a somewhat loose screw-in when hand screwed. Overall, it has a very sleek and smooth design that should fit in most speaker setups, and it's relatively built well, including the connections, for it to really feel like it would last some time. Moving on to its connectivity, it has a total of 2 potential connections, one through RCA and one through Bluetooth 5.0. Both connections are solid, with the RCA being expectedly efficient and uncompromised, without disconnections or any issues with the sound. What I was really surprised with how efficient and strong the connection was for its Bluetooth connectivity. I found myself going out to the kitchen, which is about 50 so feet away, and it was still well connected, even with the amount of distractions or obstacles in the way, which is usually a problem for some Bluetooth connections. The sound is also very solid, with barely any noticeable compression or differences between the connections from wired and Bluetooth. It also has a nice addition of clearing connection just by pressing the volume button, as it offers a very simple and easy way of disconnecting devices to the amp. However, I did find it quite disappointing that the connectivity was just limited to AAC and SBC without options for even aptX. The lack of a USB SD card and 3.5mm input was also quite disappointing. Overall, it is a set of connections that is more than enough for most people, but this is definitely not for your full-size main setup. It's probably more meant for something a bit more portable or something that isn't in your main place. Moving on to the sound, the BT20A Pro is able to power 2 300-watt towers, which totals 600 watts of total output. It baffles me that this small package can pack that amount of power. I never found myself going beyond the 12 o'clock or even on my 600 watts full-size speaker system, which was honestly insanely impressive. It has a total of 2 tuning knobs as previously mentioned. Out of the box, it would have the knobs on the 7 o'clock position, which does not sound very good at all. But fear not, as just by putting it on the 12 o'clock position, it improves the sound by a lot. But again, your mileage may vary depending on your speaker. FOSI stated that there is a smooth gain and tame progression that really allows you to dial in the exact sound that you want. The sound itself is very solid. It is able to power my 300-watt Kenwood LS-V30W speakers with a full-bodied sound, great clarity, and dynamics that I did not expect for such a small package. Lows felt very powerful without being compromised, and having good clarity in the mid-range and the high-end despite the powerful low-end. I was also able to try it on my 600-watt full-size speaker setup, which I just gotta tell you, it was a bunch of fun just cranking that bass knob and adding DSP to just boom that bass all the way, and it was just an amazing experience. However, that lack of a mid-range knob is quite apparent whenever you would want to really tweak in that mid-range quality. There's virtually no noise or distortion even when cranked all the way to very, very high volumes. There were also no disconnections or issues with the connectivity even when played again from quite the distance from the source. Comparing the original BT20A, FOSI has provided a full spec sheet comparison with the BT20A Pro as seen on the screen right now. Pause if you'd like to see the differences. To conclude, I honestly didn't know what to expect with getting this amplifier in for a review. I am mostly a portable listener. I usually use my iGams or headphones whenever I would listen to music and just enjoying, but I do have experience with full-size speakers that allowed me to have the BT20A Pro as a sort of like middle ground to what I think proper home studio hi-fi should sound like. And I'll be real, the BT20A Pro delivered on that almost perfectly. While overall bare bones in presentation and features, the BT20A Pro packs a punch in terms of its build, connectivity, and sound. I wish that there were definitely more inputs and tuning knobs in order to really dial in exactly my experience for listening to music, but honestly, for the price of $99, this is insane value for the amount of power and stable connectivity that you get. That is almost unknown you can get for this price range. And for that, I would say that if you are looking for a no-frills, compact, powerful amplifier that does not break the bank, the FOSI BT20A Pro is for you. But yeah, that's the FOSI BT20A Pro review. If you enjoyed it, again, please consider liking, subscribing, following my socials. This is probably like the break of my streak of not having reviews for a while, and it's an amplifier, but honestly, it's fine because I had a lot of fun with this amplifier, which is not something you hear a lot. I'll be honest, I never expected myself to be having this much fun with an amplifier, but it got me to appreciate like home studio setups, and honestly, I think I'm set with this being my only amplifier for the time being until I properly upgrade to, like, I don't know, proper full room whatever type of speaker setups. But yeah, that's kind of about it. Thank you so much for watching again. Yep, that's all. OB Audio out.